guys, thanks for joining me today for another UX teardown. So today we are going to look at this really fun site built on the Impulse theme in Shopify. So it is a website called Penny Skateboards. And we're not going to look at the whole site today, but we are going to look at um, a couple of things that are pretty popular right now. And I think that they do them really well. So the first thing here is actually the hero video. So hero videos are like pretty popular right now. Some mixed UX when it comes to stuff like this, but a couple of things that they're doing really well here. So first, like it loads really fast. A lot of times, the issue that we run into with hero videos is that they load really slowly upon entering the site and creates a lot of lag. And that's not a great user experience, especially when that's the first thing that you see landing on a site, but theirs loaded in really quickly. The other thing that I want to point out is that this video doesn't have any sound. And that's important because when we look at auto playing anything, it doesn't offer a great user experience when you land on something and all of a sudden like a video starts playing and there's sound on it that doesn't have any controls. And that was pretty popular for a while, but we know for the most part that it does not create a very positive user experience. And so this is something that they do really well. The video is fast to load, and it doesn't have sound, so you don't immediately land on a page and there's not sound blaring at you. So this font right here, the way that it kind of flashes and glitches, that's not necessarily something that I would recommend. I think that could create some accessibility issues. But overall, like the video itself, I like the way that they did this. The other thing that I want to pay attention to, so this scrolling text right here, super popular right now. The scrolling text has really made a pretty strong comeback on websites. I think mainly for the aesthetics. I don't think that functionally they really actually offer all that much. And so this is a good reminder to consider, like, anytime that you're going to implement something on your site, be mindful of why you're doing it. If the thought behind it is just like, well, everybody else has it or it looks really cool, it might look really cool, but consider its function. Like, what would be the purpose for your specific site on having scrolling text? So, like, one, we're always assessing goal, and if this is the best way to meet that goal. Two, we know that scrolling text creates an accessibility issue for a lot of reasons, but if you're going to have it, so this is something that they did really well. If they're going to have it, there needs to be user control. So the user needs to have the ability to be able to stop it. So if you see, this actually works on mobile too. So this is scrolling, and then when I hover over it, it stops. So there needs to be some built-in controls that when the user interacts with it, it stops. So the user needs to have the ability to be able to stop and start this. So without this, that creates even bigger an accessibility issue. And so if you're not going to have the controls for a user to be able to stop and start it, I would just probably not do it because I don't think that it's necessarily worth it. But they do offer the manual controls, which I think is really good. The other place that they do this too, and I thought, so I don't know that I've seen it done this way on a lot of sites. So they have these auto playing videos here, some user generated content, which is really cool. So again, video carousels, image carousels, these things have become pretty popular on websites, e-commerce sites, and it's a little bit of a mixed bag when we look at anything like carousel related, because, like, are people going to watch these? I don't know. So this is one of those things that it would really depend on, like, your specific, like, user audience. I don't think that you should necessarily implement a carousel just because everybody else is doing it. But if you find that, people tend to enjoy the content that you create, or this is helpful for your site, then, like, by all means, it's going to be pretty site specific. But the way that they do this is good because they have, again, the video plays, but the sound is automatically disabled on these. And again, like this is good usability because we don't want there to be audio just playing at people when they didn't ask for it. That can be pretty jarring if you're scrolling down a website and you don't know, because these videos are at the bottom of the homepage and you don't know that they're there, and you're scrolling, all of a sudden you hit this and it's just like blaring at you if this sound on your device is on. Not a great user experience. The user in that instance wouldn't necessarily have any control over that. So the way that they have done this is all of the videos are automatically, the sound is automatically disabled, but when you click on them, it will unmute all of them, and there is visual feedback for that. So right here in the corner, all of these are now on. But when I turn it off, all of them go off. So there is user controls built in, and there is a visual cue to let the user know what to expect. The other thing that we have here is, again, manual controls to be able to go to the video that you want to. So this is another really good usability tool if you're going to implement any sort of like carousel, whether it's videos or images. The auto rotating images have become, again, like pretty popular. And I think the rationale behind that was just like I think merchants thought that there would be an interest in just like viewing this like slideshow of images and videos. And I think for the most part, we found out that that's not true. And again, anytime that you can give the user control over something, for the most part, you want to do that. So they have these videos, but they don't auto scroll, which is what's happening a lot of times. There will be this, like 10-second or 15-second pause, and then it like kind of suddenly shifts to the next one. And that transition can be pretty jarring, but there's also a lot to account for when you are doing like auto rotating things, because you have to consider like the specific user. Like not everybody views content at the same pace. If there's text, you're looking at like different reading levels and read times and all of that. And so it auto rotating doesn't tend to provide for the best user experience. But when there are videos here, and this is a carousel, there is the ability here to be able to manually go through to watch whatever video I want to. So again, anytime you're going to implement anything like this, just put in user controls. Like if you really feel like for your brand, for your store, that these things are meeting a goal for you, and if this is the best way to meet your goal, and if you feel like this has a purpose on your site, then by all means, absolutely do it. But consider from the user perspective, if there needs to be a way to make sure that this is like more accessible, and what's the best use case for this. So we know that anytime there is videos, scrolling pictures, anything like that, usability rules suggest that the user should always have control. And this is one of those instances, again, where what's accessible, what's good for those with like disabilities, and what's accessible is good for everybody. Like I don't want to have audio blaring at me when I'm scrolling down the page of a skateboard website, because I have no way of seeing that coming, right? And that can be very off-putting. So it is okay to follow trends, of course, but I would encourage you, when you're implementing these things, again, like consider, why am I doing this? What goal or what purpose does this serve on my site? Is this the best way to meet this goal? And if the answer to that is yes, then just make sure that when you are implementing these things, that you are putting in user controls for people to optimize the user experience. And these are pretty basic things. These are not things that typically always have to be done custom. But again, we always want to look at anything that you're doing from a user experience perspective. How is this going to be received, and how are people that use the website going to function within this? And keeping that top of mind can really ensure that your website is optimized for good usability and accessibility. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.